this woman is on your show, the young lady in the middle is on your show as an example of a leftist nut job. She's claiming that people are not complaining in the community in Ohio on television. I did it on my show. I showed it. People are complaining about Haitians eating these animals. They're acting like this is just a made-up stuff
released this morning as well.
And
Wait,
so
I thought this guy was crying earlier about being interrupted. Now he keeps interrupting people. Can we get this guy like some moderation over here?
Hey, soy boy, slow down a minute.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump's plan for childcare, did we hear it? Did we hear it, everybody? It was tariffs on China.
They didn't even ask.
How are tariffs on China? Which, by the way, if you like any goods, if you like buying things in this country,
that is literally what he said.
Goods, that's going to raise the price.
Okay, hang on. Let me get some order, please. Let me get some order, please. The truth about tariffs on China, as even the moderators pointed out, is that actually, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris kept a lot of those tariffs that Trump introduced. So if they didn't like them, why didn't they get rid of them? Harry.
Hey, y'all. So in this one, we're going to have a look at a debate mostly between Brandon Tatum and Francesca Fiorentini. Harry Sisson and Ben Ferguson, as well as Piers Morgan, also weigh in. But before we get into it, I wanted to show you the words that came out of Trump's mouth during the debate, because Francesca is completely lying about this last thing that she said here.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States.
You see Kamala's nostrils flaring there? Okay, let's get into this one.
Okay, Francesca, hang on. And also, Francesca, what about all her flip-flopping? Because that's been the big argument against Trump, that he's a relentless flip-flopper. But Kamala Harris, whether it's about defunding the police, whether it's about fracking, all of these issues, she's done massive flip-flops to move herself to the center and become more electable as a president. But in fact, all her background suggests she is the most progressive left-wing Democrat nominee ever. I mean, that's a fact, isn't it?
Man, I wish. I super wish. I mean, I'm a big Bernie girl. I'm a big old scary lefty. You know what I mean? Everyone would probably think I'm a crazy Marxist just because I want everyone to have health care. I wish. And sadly, I think you might be right, Piers. You know, Kamala Harris was asked about health care, and unlike Donald Trump, who quite literally has no plan. In fact, said he had the concepts of a plan, but excused himself by saying he wasn't president, therefore he didn't have a plan. Yeah, but my guy, you're running for president. But Kamala Harris also once said that she believed that we should expand Medicare and that we should lower the age to 55 and in effect be on our way to a public option, which again would help all Americans out, not just poor Americans, not just older Americans.
Oh, don't interrupt,
listen,
buddy.
Ted
Don't
Cruz
interrupt,
is best
buddy.
boy. Look, I know Ted lets you interrupt and whatever, but now you're on Piers' show. Let us talk, okay?
Dude, I love this one-liner. Like, that hurts me. If you're going to talk about a record, then be honest with the people watching. Kamala Harris said she wanted to get rid of private insurance.
I'm trying to agree with you, my guy.
All right, hang on, time out. Let me bring in the only person who's not shouting at the moment, Brandon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that she's a complete liar, and they didn't fact check anything she said. The young lady claims that Kamala Harris has a plan for healthcare. Well, she's going to do all these things. She haven't done anything.
Didn't.
She's been in Congress. She's been a VP. She has done nothing. Their administration has done nothing. I think Donald Trump sealed the argument at the very end of the debate when he said, You guys had 3 years. You didn't do nothing.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it?
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.
You guys had 3 years. You didn't do nothing.
But why did he leave it, Brandon? Why did Trump?
Hang on, don't talk about it. They lowered the price of insulin. And meanwhile, Republicans in the Senate and the Congress are trying to overturn that. They're trying to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act that allowed seniors to cap their insulin prices at $35 a month.
If that administration,
let me ask a different question.
They should go back to paying.
Let me ask a different question, please.
Their own health
all right, Francesca, I'm moderating this, please. Now, Brandon, you raised an interesting point. Right at the end, Trump made by far his most powerful point, and he was coherent and articulate and said, you promise all these things throughout this debate. Why haven't you done them? Very good argument. And the two most powerful weapons he had were economy and inflation and ordinary day-to-day prices, which people are really feeling the pinch on, and immigration, where she was the immigration czar, even though everyone tried to pretend late after she got the big gig that she wasn't, but she was, and she singularly failed in that task. But somehow she emerged from a 90-minute live debate without being held to the fire on either of those things.
Well, Pierce, you have to understand this. Trump wasn't just going up against Kamala Harris in that debate. She was also going up against the two moderators, one of which has been rumored to be her sorority sister, which I haven't confirmed that, but I've seen it around. But regardless, the fault of Kamala Harris's feet not being held to the fire for the things that she has done over the last 3.5 years as a part of the Biden administration is because the two moderators were not going to do it. But it was very clear and obvious that they were going to let her finish her questions and then say, okay, thank you, Madam Vice President, and let's move on to the next one. They never once were going to ask her to verify or give an example or even ask her the hard questions. So let's place the blame where it belongs, and that is on the moderators, not on Donald Trump. Yes, I will say that Donald Trump could have done better, and he should have done better, which leads me to the next part, and that is that Donald Trump crushed Joe Biden so badly in that first debate that everybody thought that he was going to come in and crush Kamala Harris just the same way. I mean, expectations were way up here, and he delivered a C or a C+, right? And that also goes for Kamala Harris's expectation. They thought that she was going to go in and get blown out like Joe Biden did. And so when she didn't get blown out as bad and she was able to rattle Trump and keep him distracted from the real main issues, the real main policy points that he should have been making, especially when you consider that she was able to keep her cackling under control. She might have only been drunk at the beginning and sobered up as it went along. And again, I will say that Donald Trump could have done better and should have done better. But he's not perfect. I'm not going to make excuses. I can call him out when he's wrong. I can call him out when he's bad. And that's the difference between the America First crowd and the Democrat crowd. The Democrats will never hold her feet to the fire. They'll never say that anything she did was wrong or bad. As a matter of fact, Harry Sisson and Francesca are up here lying about Donald Trump instead of admitting the failures that Kamala Harris had. You won't see it once.
And it's no good for Trump to say it right at the end.
Pets, Piers, because your boy talked about eating pets. That's why
he
lost the debate.
A, he's not my boy. He's not my boy. And B, I agree with you.
Hold on.
You always brag about how you talk to him on the phone.
I've known Trump a long time, and he occasionally calls me. Brandon.
Pierce, this woman is on your show, the young lady in the middle, is on your show as an example of a leftist nut job. She's claiming that people are not complaining in the community in Ohio on television. I did it on my show. I showed it. People are complaining about Haitians eating these animals. They're acting like this is just some made-up stuff from
this morning as well.
Wait, so I thought this guy was crying earlier about being interrupted. Now he keeps interrupting people. Can we get this guy some moderation over here?
Hey, soy boy, slow down a minute.
Let's talk about what Donald Trump said at the very end. You guys are on the same side of the aisle. You're both lying your face off right now. It's terrible.
You can't disprove what we say. Let me speak and then I'll let you speak.
Talk about all of that when I'm given my time to speak. I'll fact check all of you.
All right, let me finish my thoughts and then we can go on. The reason that it was so powerful at the very end, because at the end of the day, the American people are sick of these politicians rehearsing talking points. The woman had forever to make this country better. She did nothing. She was a part of the Biden administration. She ran with him in 2020, and then she was running with him until they kicked him out of the election. She had no policy debates against what Joe Biden had in place, not one time. All of a sudden, she now has a new revived theology. It's not
all right. Thank you, Brandon. Harry, your response to that?
Thanks to the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration. Because that's what they did, actually. The American Rescue Plan put money in the pocketbooks of American families, $300 a month to be specific about it. That was called the Childcare tax plan, and they're going to expand it if reelected.
Who
all families, people who have children. I thought Republicans were all about forcing people to have kids, even though they don't want them. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's plan for childcare, did we hear it? Did we hear it, everybody? It was tariffs on China.
They didn't even ask.
How are tariffs on China? Which, by the way, if you like any goods, if you like buying things in this country,
that is literally what he said.
That's going to raise the price.
Okay, hang on. Let me get some order, please. Let me get some order, please. The truth about tariffs on China, as even the moderators pointed out, is that actually, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris kept a lot of those tariffs that Trump introduced. So if they didn't like them, why didn't they get rid of them? So Francesca, your final thoughts before we wrap up this.
Yeah, I mean, I think sadly, Donald Trump had a chance to actually lay out a plan for healthcare, and he didn't. He had a chance to lay out a plan for IVF. He didn't. He had a chance to lay out a plan for the economy, and he didn't. And that is because his administration will be a siphon for taking money from the working class and funneling it up to the ultra wealthy, as he did when he was president before, with the largest tax breaks in American history that added $2 trillion to the debt and allowed billionaires to write off their private jets. Kamala Harris's biggest moment, and this is what I think a lot of Americans are voting on, is character. And Donald Trump allowing himself to be baited, allowing himself, please, Ted Cruz's best boy, allowing himself to be baited like that showed that he does not have the character to lead this nation.
All right, Ben, hang on. Ben Ferguson, you can respond.
Let me say this. I'm sorry that your biggest accomplishment is eating your cat on TV on Piers Morgan. I hang out and try to solve real problems with people that actually are in the government, running the government, Ted Cruz. If that's a knock on me for being successful, then hang out with my cat at home. I'm totally cool with that.
Did he just call her a childless cat lady? I don't even think she understood that joke.
You support
a convicted felon and sexual abuser. Don't talk to me about character.
The American
people
who
like that
care right now.
On Twitter?
Again, I'll use your favorite woman's line. I'm speaking.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I'm
speaking. $400,000
he said he's
a year.
Going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth.
I'm speaking. The American people right now are hurting.
How about this? Say don't care. You support a felon.
That don't affect the American people. Piers, let me say this. Let me say this quickly.
Please let him finish.
You have a problem right now, and this is the reason why Kamala Harris is going to lose. The people that represent her have no care or clue about what's happening in America to people that are suffering. They come up with these points where they're personal attacks at the 8th grade level to defend her. It's a bad look. And this is why the American people don't trust her. They don't trust her because she lies to them. And she claims
your friend
that
to the right, you soy boy in this debate. Pipe down, my man. Pipe down.
I know what I believe in. You guys flip-flop all the time. And if this is the best that Kamala Harris has, on TV defending her, she will lose the election. It's an embarrassment to her.
Okay, well, just to clarify,
no, because you're right,
Harry,
Ben. A random guy with a comb over is definitely going to convince us to vote for Donald Trump.
Just to clarify.
No, I'm just pointing out that he's talking about Kamala Harris surrogates being like immature and childish. His friend to the right of him is using soy boy as an insult on Piers Morgan. I mean, please, Piers. I mean, it's look, Piers and I think we are on the same side of this. What a ridiculous thing.
This is again triggered. When you don't have real ideas, this is what happens.
Francesca, how am I going to come back from that?
I'm going to make my bet because I'm actually exhausted by this panel. I have to say, you have literally exhausted me. So thank you all for joining me.
Is it funny to anybody else seeing Harry Sisson call Brandon Tatum and Ben Ferguson snowflakes when a snowflake literally blows with the wind, which is exactly what the Democrat Party does in support of their Democratic leaders? Ben Ferguson and Officer Tatum have been steadfast in their beliefs for years upon years, which is the very opposite of a snowflake. The guy doesn't even understand what a snowflake is, which is another example of how far Harry Sisson is removed from reality, right? I'm going to wrap that one up there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, share this video and let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.